regular session to order for September 7th, 3:30. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Dominic.
Present.
Lyndon Johnson. Jackson. Glenn.
Here.
Bowman. Cawthorn.
Present.
Gage Watts.
Present.
Middleton. Atkins.
Here.
Chavez.
Here, sir.
Smith. Lewis Johnson.
Present.
We have a quorum, sir.
All right. We'll have our Commissioner Gage Watts, have our invocation by Commissioner Gage Watts and pledge of allegiance by Commissioner John Atkins.
Let us pray. God, we just come before you, Lord, as humble as we know how, Lord. Thanking you, God, for the day that you have graced us with, Lord. God, I come right now, Lord, asking, Father God, in the name of Jesus, for your peace right now, God. For your peace that surpasses all understanding, Lord. God, this world is hurting from calamities, God, and all type of iniquities, God. And we need you, Lord. God, we ask you, Father God, to be with us, God, as we go to make decisions, Father God, on behalf of the people that has elected us to represent them, Lord. God, stir up thy gifts, Lord. Let our minds and our hearts be open, Father God, to hear from you. Lord, we ask, Father God, for a special blessing, Father God, over this city, Father God, of Shreveport, over this parish of Caddo, and over this state of Louisiana, God. We ask, Father God, that we will be in tune, Father God, with you in all things, Lord. We ask this in Jesus Christ's holy name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in facing the flag. Please place your right hand over your heart or render the proper salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Mr. Clerk, do we have any agenda additions?
I have none before me, sir.
All right, citizens' comments. Citizens who wish to address the commission on any issue other than zoning must fill out a comment card located in the chamber foyer and return to the president or clerk of the commission. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please note, and this is for public hearings only, please note citizens who wish to address the commission on matters relative to public hearing, items listed on the agenda only will be limited to a cumulative total of 15 minutes each. For or against an issue, those who wish to speak or make a presentation are asked to select their speakers and address the points they wish considered with this limitation in mind, and that is for public hearing only. So right now, we're on citizen comments, and I will call you up as I have received these. I have a John McCowan, and I apologize if I pronounce your name. John McCune, I'm sorry.
McCune.
Okay, yeah.
That's right with me. McCown's first time I've ever heard it like that, but that's okay. I've been called McCoon, McClooney, and all sorts of things, so as long as you don't call me late for dinner, I'm good. My name is Jack McKinnon, and I live at 168 Patton Avenue in Broadmoor. Listening to the news and listening to what I've heard from this debate over this statue, for somebody that worked across the street from the courthouse for 5 years, I can personally pretty much guarantee that majority of people walk by that statue, they don't even pay attention to it. They don't even look at it. It's just a hunk of granite. One thing probably gets the most traction is the birds. I see it not as some kind of hold back on people or liberty or anything like that. It's a historical monument. Historical of where we were and where we've gone and where we have to go. Has nothing to do with anything else. Little history lesson. At the beginning of the Civil War, the largest plantation slave owner on a plantation had over 225 slaves, and he was African American. Slaves weren't brought here by the white man. It was the Muslims who started selling Africans to the slave trade. It wasn't the white man. White man didn't pick up on it until later. So if it's about some kind of oppression or something like that, why is it taking this long for this to come about? Because President Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act in 1965. I didn't know what it was as a kid. I learned about it later. But this isn't about some monument. It's about history. Are we going to take off the face of Teddy Roosevelt? Are we going to take Washington's face off the Mount Rushmore? We're going to take the body out of Grant's tomb? I mean, I just want to know. I hear Mr. Johnson say on TV that there's lots of people who are in favor of this. I don't know who they are. I've never seen a list of all these people who are in favor for it, or even a petition. It sounds to me it's kind of one-sided. I don't know why. But if y'all gonna make it an issue like that, that's not the right way to go. This is a historical monument, like I said. And y'all have to remember something else. Y'all work for me. I'm a taxpayer. Y'all get your salaries from me and the rest of these folks and everybody else who isn't here. Just keep that in mind. If you go over and take a good look at that statue, you can barely see anything that says CSA on it. It looks more like some kid going out and go rabbit hunting.
Time is expired. Thank you.
Okay?
Move to extend.
That dies for a lack of a second. All right. Anna Cole. Yeah.
Can y'all put this down a little, or can you?
No.
Okay.
You can just stand right there.
Oh,
There's
my
an X
bad.
and just project into the microphone.
Okay,
Yes,
good
ma'am.
afternoon,
Thank you.
everyone, and
Good
I'll try not to
afternoon.
be too nervous. I am a Christian, but I'm getting on up there in my 70s, so I will say what I have to say. My parents raised me in a Christian home to say you can speak up with your beliefs and still be civilized and a lady about it. So I have prayed and prayed. I'll try to talk a little faster so I can get it all out. That the city of Shreveport could be an example for the rest of the country. That we are united in love and compassion for one another. We don't have racism and hatred in our city. We're not divided like the rest of the country, and it's getting worse and worse. And the removal of that statue, I'm here because I'm not naive. Sure, the statue's going to be taken down. That's the reason no more people's here. That's been settled from get-go. It's all set in. That everyone, if it passes again, they're going to have another meeting until it's voted to take down. I'm not that naive. I'm not here. I am here to stand up for my ancestors on both sides. Because as this gentleman just said, the Civil War was about so much more than slavery. The bloodshed on those battlegrounds was about a lot of issues that most people don't even care to know about. But I'm here to stand up, and if they're looking down on me, I'm saying, I'm here. My little voice is not going to keep the statue from being taken down. Of course not. We all know where this is headed. You knew from get one where it was headed. A lot of people said, I'm not wasting my time. I said, I'm going to go and I'm going to stand up for my ancestors, for the issues that were important. No one here is for slavery. No one's here for the way African Americans were treated. It was horrible. And our great Martin, Dr. King, what he did is so great, but I think he would be appalled, I mean really appalled, at the racism and the hatred and the division that is coming into our cities. This man gave his life. He wasn't worried about monuments. He was worried about the life today and people coming together. Shreveport is a good city, and I will still pray until I can't pray anymore, because I do believe in miracles, but it will take a miracle for some of you to vote for it not to be removed. It will take a miracle, but I do believe in miracles because I am a Christian, and I can pray that your hearts will be touched, because where is it going to go to next? The hatred and the racism and the division is not going to stop with monuments. It's going to continue. It's going to be like our first president, George Washington, had slaves. Well, common people like me, my ancestors, we didn't have slaves. And most of the people that fought on both sides, even in the Confederacy, they weren't for slaves. but they were for a lot of other issues. It was about money. And that monument's not bothering anyone. We got people in Texas and Florida that when I leave here, I'm going to cut it short, but I want it to stand up. And I hope your hearts will be touched and you will not allow our city to have riots in our street
Thank you.
and stop that, because I will say this, and I'm sorry, forgive me, sir. The monument, it's not about the monuments. It's about 3 topics: racism, hatred, and politics. And that's all it's about. God bless all of you, and God bless all of you for standing up for our ancestors. God bless you. May your hearts be touched with love. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Brenda Brock.
I'm going to help my fellow Americans who need help. Bye-bye.
I was going to talk today. In fact, I'm not going to talk so much about the monument as I am going to talk about the fence. And if you vote on the fence today, I want to discourage you of voting on it until you can get clarification about the fence, and more particularly adverse possession. As you know, the United Daughters of the Confederacy have stated that they have maintained the monument for 112 years, and so the fences around it. Sorry about that. The fence is around the monument, so that states the plot. If you put a fence around the courthouse, I don't want the fence around the courthouse to be an interference of adverse possession of the fence around the UDC monument. That UDC monument is privately owned, so if you do vote on this today, I don't want that to be an interference. I hope this is in the minutes for today. So it just occurred to me while I sat in here today, a fence within a fence. After 30 years, we don't want that to be an interruption.
Thank you. Ken Krepp.
Ken Krepp, 157 Archer Avenue. I guess this microphone is for U12. It's got a 12 on it. Few seconds on the monument and then public safety. I've attended several meetings. Y'all have a tough decision. I just want to remind you, I hope you can forward that email on my opinion of future tax elections, should it vote to be removed from its current location. That's my biggest concern, is the unintended consequences of such a vote. Think about that. About public safety, left the DDA meeting a few minutes early. They were still taking questions. I hadn't yet got to the public. I was going to tell them what I'm going to tell you, and it's nothing new. They're planning, and I read your article in your op-ed, and thank you, Commissioner Jackson, for sending it, although you were at the top of the front page right there. So we need, before it's too late, with Harvey and Irma and other storms, a new 9/11 Special Operations building shaped like an igloo, so there's no right angles. An F5 cannot destroy a 12-gauge steel with concrete igloo building. It tried. Greensburg, Kansas had an F5 May 4th of 2007. Everything was destroyed except 2 grain silos, which are cylindrical, which had no right angles. The parish and the city should plan so that when the tornado hits, if it hits our special ops building on Texas, we have a igloo-shaped, tornado-proof, fire-proof, flood-proof building downtown if need be in this big development, but somewhere so that first responders and dispatchers can transmit whatever the eventuality is, tornado, hazardous waste spill. I also like sirens, like I heard in the 50s when I was a child, and we would get on the floor and the nuns would tell us to cover our head, and I used to make fun of them, saying, my dad says we're all dead if we get hit with a nuclear bomb, so why are we in the fetal position? But it was great to complain at St. Gabriel's because you would get punished and sent to the principal's office, which was my goal since it had the only air conditioner in the school. And I would go get punished on purpose. And one more thing. Mr. Settle may appreciate this, or some of the attorneys in the room, but 19 years ago, Justice Scalia playing tennis against a D.C. Court of Appeals justice, 4-4, they were only playing one set, and Nino won the 5th game. He called it. They were on the court, and he said, "It's over, I win, 5-4. He won the 6th game, he did win.
Thank you, Mr. Crane. Thank you, Mr. Kraft. I have no more citizen comments.
I think just
Where are we?
the last card I brought you.
Oh, Cassie McDaniels, I'm sorry. Thank you.
I actually did not intend to speak today. I know that surprises all of you that are getting tired of looking at me, but I was moved after the remarks of the gentleman here to state on the record that there are many, 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 many people who are extremely concerned about that statue and have been for many years. And just because people were not in a position to say that they were concerned about it does not mean that they did not feel concerned. And it is only very recently that people have been emboldened to speak out against it after 60, 70 years of forward movement since Lyndon Johnson signed that paper. And we do still deal with racism today. This is not a perfect city. My hope is that it will become a much more perfect city, that we can move beyond racial divides that have been unspoken but are still evident today. And I still feel like we wouldn't need a fence around that courthouse if that statue was not there as a symbol of the division that still exists in this city today, and that is still a lightning rod of contention, mostly by people who want it kept there and are willing to defend that with guns and to do rash actions like happened in Charlottesville. And I know that that is on everyone's mind, and I did call the state police yesterday and speak to them about words that were spoken in this chamber on Tuesday that were direct threats. And that men who are black, I don't think would have been able to get away with speaking like that without being stopped before they left this chamber. And that is the thing that needs to be dealt with. That is still an apparent divide in this city where friends of mine who are black do not expect equal justice under the law because it has been proven to them through the actions of people in this city in power that that is not the case. And I feel like removing that statue would be a step of good faith that this council and this body could do to show the residents of this parish that you are acting in good faith and that you want to move forward and you want to provide and make this city what it could be, which is unified. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Those are it for public comment.
We have no visitors. We move to special resolutions.
We're gonna move, I move to defer those to our September 21st meeting.
Second.
Motion by the chair, second by Commissioner McEwen. Do we need to vote on deferring those?
Yes, sir, let's go ahead and vote.
What is it that's so special?
It's just a special resolution, Southern and LSUF. Please vote to defer those. One is out of town and the other preferred the other day. So, all right.
Mr. Bowman? Sir?
All right, that passes 12-0.
All right. Next, we move to adopt the regular session minutes from August 17th.
Moved by Commissioner Lynn, second by Commissioner Middleton. Please vote to adopt the regular session minutes. All right, that passes 12-0.
At this time, the Commission sits as Tax Board of Review for tax assessments for the year of 2017. Tax Assessor Charlie Hennington presents those tax protests to the Tax Board of Review.
How you doing? My name is Charlie Hennington. I'm the assessor for Caddo Parish. I have a letter to read to you. I read it every year to you. Dear members of the Board of Review, as assessor in and for the parish of Caddo, This is to certify that the assessments on property located in and/or accessible in Caddo Parish have been listed and assessed in accordance with Title 47, Section 1992. It is further certified that the said assessments have been exposed for public review for 15 calendar days beginning August 17, 2017 and ending August 31st. Said certification of the above is hereby given to the Board of Review as required by Title 47, Section 1992. Right now, we have one appeal. It's Aaron's Rental. We had the same appeal last year. They have a court case in Baton Rouge, and they're basically holding their options still open this year. If the case goes for them, all the parishes that are involved would go with that court's recommendation. And if it's fine for the assessor in East Baton Rouge, then they would drop all the appeals. But right now, that's the only one we have. We don't know for sure if there's any more, because Monday on the 11th is the last day to appeal, so at 5 o'clock I'll know. But we do need to set a date, and usually that is your work session, and that's on the 18th, 19th, somewhere in there, I think. Is that
The 18th,
is that Monday?
Monday the
Monday.
18th. Mr. President, I actually have that penciled in at 2 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay. I don't expect them to show because they didn't come last year, and I'll talk to them. But we would come and present our information. They just want to be able to keep it before the Louisiana Tax Commission.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hinton. Vice President Dominic.
Do, Todd or Donna, do we need to make any motion at this time?
I don't think so.
I don't believe so.
So
I
it's
think
all-
what we're gonna do, he's brought the information to you. We'll know after Monday if there are any other appeals. If there are appeals, then we'll sit as a board on the 18th at 2 o'clock.
Okay, I just want to make sure we didn't.
If they're not appeals, then.
Well,
you'll
like
come
I
back
said,
on
we
Thursday.
have errands, and if they don't show, I'm not sure we even have to meet for that. I can just present it to you on that
On
Thursday,
Thursday.
and y'all, because you're not going to rule on it that day. It won't be till Thursday anyway when you'll vote yes or no.
Okay, thank you.
All
All
right.
right.
Commissioner Matthew Williams.
I just want to tell Mr. Hennington how much I appreciate him showing the spirit of a true elected official by working on your birthday.
That's it.
Happy
It is
birthday.
today, a big 6-0.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Virgo.
That's right. All right, thank you.
Virgo. Thank you, thank you. All right, next.
This time we move to public hearing on zoning ordinances and cases. SP 10317 appeal case, site plan appeal regarding SP 10317, appellant Mr. Kenneth Johnson.
This issue has been resolved, and he has
Hold on,
dropped.
this is just a public
Sorry,
hearing.
sorry.
Is there anyone here in favor of SP 103-17 appeal case? Is there anyone here in opposition to SP 103-17 appeal case? I see none.
Okay, that closes that one. We move to ordinance number 5707 in regards to zoning case P 1217, applicant Moore and Associates, amending the zoning of property located on the south end of Singleton Road, immediately west of Brandon Road, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, from RA Residential Agriculture District to R1H Urban One Family Residential District.
Is there anyone here in favor of ordinance 5707 of 2017? Is there anyone here in opposition to ordinance 5707 of 2017? Can you hear us back there? Can you hear a little bit more? Okay.
Good afternoon, Andy Craig with Moore and Associates,
Okay.
applicant for representing the developer. If you remember, this case was before y'all about a year ago, and it was in 2016. It was passed by the MPC, and it was appealed, and it was turned down by the commission. We reapplied a few months ago. MPC again approved the zoning request, and we're here before you again. The biggest issue last year was the sewer lift station problems. They were worked out, and so we think we've got everything resolved now. So, but I'll be glad to answer any questions if y'all have any.
Okay, and you are here in favor
In favor, yes.
of the appeal? Okay. Mark, do you want to come up That probably give us a little background here.
This, we were just waiting for Andy to address those issues as far as I know the gentleman that came forward with concerns about some of the drainage issues for his property. As far as the preliminary and final plat are concerned, everything is in accordance with the subdivision ordinance, and the MPC voted 6-0 to recommend that. So that was the only issue that was outstanding, and I believe he has addressed that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Next, Mr. Clerk.
At that time, it closes public hearings on zoning ordinances. We move to public hearing on ordinances. Ordinance number 5708 of 2017, adopting section 48-251 relative to subdivisions to provide that decision of the Parish Director of Public Works under Article 3, Chapter 48 of the Code of Ordinances relative to streets within Shreveport Metropolitan Planning Area may be appealed to the Parish Commissioner.
Is there anyone here in favor of ordinance 5708 of 2017? Is there anyone here in opposition to ordinance 5708 of 2017? See now, Mr. Clerk, please.
And next, we move to 5709 of 2017 to accept the streets in Woolworth Oaks subdivision, Unit 5 and 6.
Is there anyone here in favor of ordinance 5709? Is there anyone here in opposition of ordinance 5709?
Closes that, we move to 5710 to accept the streets known as Northport Boulevard into the Parish of Caddo system.
Is there anyone here in favor of ordinance 5710 of 2017? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of ordinance 5710 of 2017? All right.
Next, we move to 5713, declaring certain adjudicated properties to be surplus and authorize the parish administrator or a designee to sell the parish's tax interest in certain surplus adjudicated properties.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance 5713 of 2017? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of ordinance 5713 of 2017? See nobody, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to ordinance 5714, to close and abandon a certain road located in Section 3, Township 18 North, Range 15 West, in the Parish of Caddo.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance 5714 of 2017? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of ordinance 5714 of 2017? That's it.
That closes our public hearings on ordinances. We move to zoning case appeal. SP 103-17 appeal case, site plan appeal regarding SP 103-17.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Johnson called and asked that this appeal be dropped. He was able to resolve this outside of the commission.
So that's a motion to remove it. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Atkins, second by Commissioner Gage Watts to remove this from our agenda. Please vote on removing this from our agenda. All right, that passes 12-0.
The zoning ordinance for final passage, ordinance number 5707 of 2017, regards to zoning case P1217.
Move to adopt the MPC's decision on this particular ordinance.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Lyndon Johnson, second by Commissioner Dominic. Please vote. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The difference between this year and last year, there's a couple things. One was the drainage. The sewer district did go in and upgrade the sewer pumps. The other deal is the water runoff from heavy rains. I had Tim that was out there with me in Public Works, and we looked at how the water runs off, and the residents told us basically how it runs. And so we're looking at how we can actually minimize some of that runoff coming to them. A lot of the runoff did not have to do with this project, but just the lay of the land. And over time of development on property that is north of that the water is running down onto some of the people's property. So basically coming out, talking to the residents of Brandon Street and Singleton, it kind of calmed them down to being able to accept this project.
So speak on the second.
No, I think that basically everything has been resolved and we're good to go.
Okay. Commissioner Miller.
So specifically, this addresses Mr. W.C. Hall's concerns?
Yes.
Okay. Proceed to call me. That's it, thank you.
Okay. like to make a substitute motion to englobo and adopt ordinance 5708, ordinance 5709, ordinance 5710, ordinance 5713, and ordinance 5714.
Second.
Moved by the chair, second by Commissioner Lynn to englobo and adopt those ordinances. Did anybody want to speak on any other ones in the englobo? Anybody?
5707.
5007.
Right.
5007.
I'm sorry, 5708.
That's the one he just spoke about.
Not spoke on 7. On 8 is the next one.
We haven't voted on 07.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. So, yeah, did I include 07 in there?
No.
I'm sorry, and include 5707. I'm
So
sorry.
how far did you go?
All the way to the end.
So substitute motion to englobo 5707 to
07 to 14.
to 14.
Did anybody want to speak on any of them? 07, 08, 09, 10, 13, and 14. Did you want to speak on that? Did you want to speak on that?
No, I'm good.
Okay, all right.
I'm just reading to make sure it's okay.
All right, okay. Well, please vote on the englobo to adopt those ordinance 5707 through 5714. All right. That passes 12-0.
Okay, next we move to ordinances for introduction by title. Ordinance number 5712 of 2017, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the capital outlay fund and the general fund in the amount of $200,000 to provide an appropriation to place a fence or bollards with portable fencing around the Caddo Parish Courthouse. Ordinance number 5715 of 2017, declaring certain adjudicated properties to be surplus and to authorize the parish administrator designee to sell parish's tax interest in certain surplus adjudicated properties. Next, we would need to ratify the minutes of the work session.
Moved by Commissioner Gage Watts, second by Commissioner Cawthorn. Please vote on ratification of the work session minutes. That passes 12-0. Next.
Next, we move to resolutions. Resolution 65, to provide the commitment of the parish for local funding, design, administration, and management of the Caddo Parish Bicycle Awareness Signage Project.
Move to approve.
Second. Moved by Commissioner Matthew Lynn, second by Commissioner Cawthorn. Commissioner Lynn, did you want to speak? Did you want to speak?
No.
Commissioner Lynn Johnson.
Move to global and adopt resolution 65 and 66.
Moved by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Gage Watts to englobo and adopt 65 and 66. Please vote.
And 68.
And 60 and 68. Please vote.
68?
Yes,
68.
And 68.
Don't go
Civil
67?
67. 68. Skip over 67. All right. Please vote. Those pass 12-0. Next.
That's resolution number 67, amending the appointment of a poet laureate for Caddo Parish.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Commissioner Chavez, second by the chair. Do you want to speak?
This came out of long-range planning, and it's obviously something we've been doing for a while. We're just going to prolong it for 3 years, so I'm for it.
Commissioner Linda Johnson, on board for this?
Yeah, on this one. I really don't see a need for this particular position in the parish. We've had ceremonies, we've had things, and the poet has never been here. I think we appointed one last term, and so I've never really seen the person do anything. And then you're gonna pay a person, I think, $1,500 just to give a poem. So I'm against it.
Okay. Commissioner Dominic.
Yeah, I think that, it was presented to the Long Range Commission, and haven't read it in a few days, but if I remember, there were some changes that would address those issues that they are to make some appearances, represent us throughout the parish. I think that we have, they're going to be obligated to write at least one new poem, tribute to Caddo Parish, and present it to the Caddo Parish Commission. Pam Atchison had requested some of this stuff, that they will be present at the poetry workshop, at the annual Arts Breaks, Student Arts Festival, and annual commission will be paid through the contract, et cetera, but I think some of that stuff was beefed up and added in, and it's my understanding that, you know, they would hopefully come to some more meetings and things if we needed them. Yeah, I was trying to glance at this stuff, but I remember that they are, for any type of events and stuff like that, that they would be available for the commission. Yeah, I just want conduct, make appearances at speaking arrangement workshops and other activities requested by the parish of Caddo and other entities. So we're just going to have to request them. If we have some type of festival or some type of meeting to be held, then, you know, they should come to it.
Commissioner Cawthorn?
Yeah, I just want to briefly add that you know, a Port Laureate, when they're functioning properly in the position that they've been appointed to, it brings, you know, culture, insight to the community. I would definitely be in favor of supporting the Port Laureate, but I would also want to make sure that the Port Laureate is doing what they're supposed to be doing and being representative. And when they are actually functional, they become a cultural addition to the parish, if you will. So I'm with you in favor.
Commissioner Chavez?
Thank you, President. I didn't think there would be a lot of controversy, so I didn't give a great explanation, but I definitely think Caddo Parish needs to be depicted on a national level as somewhat of the arts. And I definitely like what this is doing, as well as mandating that poet has to do so many speaking engagements and go out nationally to represent Caddo Parish in the diversity that we have here. So I'm all about it, and I hope the rest of you guys support it as well. That's all, President.
I'd like to make a substitute motion that this position of Poet Laureate be an honorary position with no compensation.
Second. Moved by Commissioner Atkins, second by Commissioner Bowman, that it be an honorary position without pay,
No compensation.
with no compensation. Okay. You want to speak on your motion?
Yeah. To everybody's point, I think there is value in having a Poet Laureate with respect to culture and education and broadening of our citizens. However, in today's times, I'm not sure that the majority of our citizenry would like to see that position be a paid position. I think everybody could respect it more as an honorary position. I think if a poet was really interested in the position, they would be honored to serve in an honorary fashion with no compensation. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Commissioner Bowman, do you want to speak on your second? No, sir. Okay. I was just going to add before that motion that I like to make an amendment. So I want to add something to this. I don't want to take away from what he's doing, but I want to add something to what he's doing. I think we have to take up his amendment first. What it sounds like he's doing an amendment as opposed to a substitute motion. And so he wants to remove out the compensation.
Yeah.
So I'll come back to my amendment. Well, I don't think I can discuss it until I take up his amendment first. I see Commissioner Chavez. Okay, Commissioner Johnson, are you in for this?
Speak up.
I'm sorry.
On his too. I want to talk about the amendment as well.
Okay, so yeah, that's what I'm asking. You want to talk about his amendment?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So last term we had two of them, and I never did see neither one of them. And so at that time they were getting paid, supposed to be getting paid $1,000, and so getting paid didn't see them. So
That's right, honorary.
Honorary still probably.
Okay. Cool. Commissioner Chavez, did you want to speak on the
On his, yes.
amendment? Go ahead.
I know we had
That's
two.
Commissioner Atkins.
Yeah, Commissioner.
Sorry, on his.
I'm sorry.
I know who he was referring to.
I'm sorry.
Whereas, and I want this to be stated, it's not $1,500 a month, it's a stipend of $1,500 a year, whereas we had two at $1,000 a piece, now we only have one at $1,500, so we're saving money, it's a stipend. And I'm all about saving money, you know that. I would just hate to ask somebody to go to a national convention on his own dime to represent us, because it may never happen. So maybe we can work out a deal where it's honorary and we don't pay them the stipend. However, we could cover some costs. But I know some people are going to get mad about that. But again, I wouldn't want to send somebody to represent Caddo Parish and expect them to do it on their own dime. So maybe a allocated travel or expense if we want them to come to a school, cover their gas that day, or something like that we can come to an agreement on, up to a certain amount. Like maybe up to $1,500 that they can spend on travel, but not exactly just hand them $1,500. Would you be willing for some type of friendly amendment like that?
I'd be open to covering their expenses if the commission were to have some methodology for approving those expenses.
I think similar to like our travel, like if we go out of town to do business, we have to turn our invoices. I know Erica's looking over there like, I don't want to handle this, but sorry, Erica.
We're fine. Up to 1,500 is what we're
Up to
saying.
1,500, would you accept that? Okay, I'd be willing to do that.
Okay, well, we got a motion on the floor.
May I,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair?
Go ahead.
I'd be, if you have a substitute motion or amendment similar along those lines, I'd be happy to withdraw my motion or my.
So he can withdraw his motion
and then free it.
Substitute for that motion right there.
So you're withdrawing your motion?
If you're gonna speak along those lines, I'll withdraw my motion.
I was just gonna add, okay, so you're withdrawing your motion.
Only if you're going, if you do
Well,
something
I mean,
similar.
he
may come with a
Well, you might wanna keep your motion.
See what I'm saying? He gonna learn from me.
Yeah, you might wanna keep your motion. I'm not saying that's not gonna be the same as yours or similar, but you might wanna keep your motion.
Okay, I'll keep it.
Better keep it.
Mine is not so much on the paper. Mine is so much on the deliverables. That's what I'm trying to say.
Done.
Go ahead. So your motion's still on the
Keep it
floor.
with Chavez.
Commissioner Atkins' motion is still on the floor. And are you finished?
That's it, yes, sir.
All right. Commissioner Lewis Johnson on Commissioner Atkins' motion.
Okay. I appreciate and understand and respect the Commissioner Atkins' position, as well as Commissioner Johnson. And I think that we could do a better job of requiring that poet laureate would be more visible or do the things that's required. But as Commissioner Carlton has identified, arts are an important part of our society, of our city. I think that we could use more culture. I think we use more arts instead of less. I think that the Shreveport Regional Arts Council, they're working hard as best they can in our community to enrich all of us, to give us a great appreciation. And it's not an indictment against us that most of us would not know what a poet laureate is in that respect. But this gives us an opportunity to not only educate ourselves, but also to educate our community and our parish. And with this person in place and having a responsibility to be more visible and maybe even come before the commission so that we can familiarize ourselves with what they do and meet them, I think that $1,500 is really, of course, we know that the Johns and the Marios and the others and all of us are mindful of how dollars are spent, but anything that's going to increase culture and arts in our community, I think that we need to start thinking more along those lines. We need to expand ourselves and open ourselves to those opportunities that will provide that. I think that this does. So I will not oppose you if we decide to take that salary away from them. But I think it's minimal. I think it's worthwhile, and I think that anyone else who provides services are worth those services. And I think a poet laureate is a good start as it relates to arts and culture in our parish. And I think it will speak well of us to have a greater appreciation when we increase our understanding in that area.
Commissioner Matthew Lane.
I agree with Commissioner Johnson and with Commissioner Cawthorn in that this is something that if we're paying for something, we should receive the goods that we receive. However, when I go to see a physician or an attorney, I'm paying them for their words, and just like I pay a physician or an attorney for their words, I feel that we should pay a poet laureate for their words as well. Commonly, people discount individuals that work in the art world as their way of living, and that's why they're usually poor. And so it would be nice if we did pay them, but at the same time, we should not pay them to do nothing. We should pay them to do something. And so if there is a catch or stipulations in here requiring something from them, or I felt the fair compromise was what Commissioner Chavez says, which is if they're going somewhere to reimburse them. However, I do recognize accounting probably doesn't want to mess with that and would just rather us write them a check and let them do what they want to and go where they want to. But if the receiving the check requires them showing that they went somewhere and representing Caddo Parish, I think that that's something very easy for us to put in these stipulations. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Commissioner Middleton, I think this is your first time around on
It
this.
is, yes, sir, today. As Mr. Chavez said, I didn't know we'd have this much discussion. But the same as, I'd like to give this person the same stipend that we're going to give historians whenever we select that, and that's 0. So I'll just have to stay in line with that.
All right.
And the historians, his recommendation.
Right. Commissioner Carter, are you on his substitute, on his amendment?
Yes, I just want, for the commission's clarification, the last person that was the port laureate, do we remember how they were compensated, what they did? Do we have any?
Two people.
That was 2 people?
Yeah, so y'all basically gave the funds over to SHRAC and they paid them? Is that how it worked?
I'm not sure in that process, Commissioner.
I don't recall who we wrote the check to, but we did pay.
So,
After they got the check, and he was gone.
Well, what I'm making is that, if they are compensated, that they should be tied to whatever it is that we prescribed that they did in the resolution of the ordinance. And I would be on board with, Chavez with some type of compensation that need to travel. And also, just to give you guys a backdrop as the port laureate position, the late Maya Angelou was the port laureate for the United States at one time. And so she gave, at the inauguration, she was the one that did a dissertation on some type of port. So when the commissioners get installed each year after the election, then that person has the responsibility of delivering something in the way of a literature piece or a poem or something along that line. But I wanted to be tied to them actually doing something and being compensated. That's all right.
All right.
Looks like they're gonna get
Vice
stuck.
President Dominic on this.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion that we postpone this, if I can get a second.
Second. I never did get a chance to do my motion.
Guys, look, I'm kinda like Commissioner Chavez, I didn't think it was gonna be, but we obviously have some controversy, we have some different ideas, different opinions. I think we need to kinda get together and talk amongst ourselves and be sure, and when this thing comes back for a vote, we need to have Pam Atchison here. She did an excellent presentation to us at the Long Range Committee. She can do a really good job and explain and tell you what he or she is going to do and how other cities and communities treat their poet laureate. So, hey guys, let's don't have any further discussion. Let's just move this, we'll get Pam here, we can talk about this, and we can decide. We got other things to do.
Move it to a committee?
No, I'm just postponing it, and what I would like to do is maybe us, talk about it amongst ourselves, but when we put it back on the, agenda,
Call it back up.
we'll have Pam here, make sure she's here to tell everybody.
Are you?
Yep.
Okay, so
Second.
he's withdrawn his motion essentially.
Okay.
And we have a motion to postpone until our September 21st meeting. Please, let's discuss amongst ourselves the ideas. I think every idea that has been mentioned is worth the conversation. So please vote on postponing to September 21st.
Who was the second, sir?
Commissioner Chavez.
Okay, thank you.
I was trying to get us out of here by Atkins. That passes 11-1. All right.
All right, we have no old business. We move to new business. Confirm appointment of Mr. Michael Wallett to replace Mr. Robert Williams on the Pine Hill Waterworks District Number 8 Board.
Move to appoint.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Linda Johnson, second by Commissioner Gage Wash. Please vote on the appointment.
I'm sorry, I voted. I should vote yes.
That's 12-0. That passes.
Confirm reappointment of Mr. Curtis Williams to Sewer District Number 2 Board.
Move to appoint, reappoint. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Lyndon Johnson, second by Commissioner John Atkins. Please vote on the reappointment. That passes.
Mr. Chavez?
That passes 12-0.
Next, we move to communiques and committee reports.
Yes, sir. We have, update on 949, Mr. Kent Rogers here today.
Go Kent. All right. It's all on you. Thank you for the email.
Good afternoon. Kent Rogers, Executive Director, Northwest Louisiana Council of Governments, 625 Texas, Suite 200, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. As I gave a real quick, short and sweet version Tuesday, just to give you all an update on the I-49 project. Earlier this year, the consultant team had submitted what they call a alternatives decision memo to Federal Highways and DOTD for review. At that time, Federal Highways and DOTD approved of kicking one alternative out and had a bunch of other questions that they wanted to address, some refinements to some of the alignments done. The two biggest questions had to do with what they call Section 4F determinations, dealing with Cross Lake and also dealing with the park, Swebco Park, down in the Allendale area. Both of those were reviewed. Federal Highways determined that Swebco Park did not meet the significance standard as required. They also did determine that Cross Lake does have some 4F issues that would have to be addressed should that alternative be selected. They are in the process of completing some of the cultural resource work. There's some shovel dig work and whatnot that they're doing out on properties. They were scheduled to have that completed, but because of a nice little storm that came by, they got delayed a couple days. So they should be completed with that work within the next week or so. Hopefully we won't get any more rain. With that, they resubmitted the alternatives decision memo, and Federal Highways and DOTD had approved of that memo with alternatives, build alternative 5, build alternative 1, and no build alternative being the 3 at that point. The MPO at that point voted there's a resolution that I've attached with the information provided to y'all.
They said they can't hear you on Facebook Live. So.
Okay. There was a resolution attached to the information provided to y'all Tuesday. The MPO selected alternative build 1 as what's listed as the MPO locally preferred alternative to move forward in the environmental document. They should have the draft of the EIS completed sometime this winter. They'll get it out for public comments. Public comment period in the spring, the first quarter of next year, with public hearing probably March, April timeframe. Once all the issues are addressed from the public hearing, they'll submit the final document to Federal Highways for what will be called a record decision or an EIS on the project. I know y'all had also asked for similar information on other projects. Y'all should have received an email packet that had updates for all the mega projects for the region in it.
Thank you, Kent. Commissioner Bowe. I'm sorry.
Got me right when I was swallowed.
Cal McKinnis does that when he don't want me to speak.
Really? I just wanted to make announcement that the NGO committee will be meeting September 18th. That's all I was trying to do, but they put me up there.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I have a committee report on.
Okay,
yeah, that's
right. Do we have any questions for
him.
Mr. Kent Rogers, Commissioner Gates?
Hello, Mr. Rogers. Thank you, sir. I wanted to know if the 3132 lighting update was included in
Yes, ma'am. I did have some notes on that because I figured y'all may have a couple other questions. There was a previous project that was submitted. I'm trying to find this. A couple of years back. It's basically a lighting project. It would be from Mansfield to 70th Street. That's kind of the gap area that's missing at this time. That was proposed several years back through the safety pot of money at DOTD, through DOTD. They're reviewing that current project, bringing it back up to current standards to see what needs to be done to bring it into current design standards and new cost estimates for it, and work it into the safety program at that point.
Awesome. So it is on the table?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, you are.
Commissioner Atkins. Is that it? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Atkins.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, thank you. Commissioner Gage-Watts, did you just ask about 3132?
Yes.
Okay.
A
thank you.
lighting project along.
Well, along those similar lines, any thoughts on, or any information you can share on where we are with the route for 3132 and when that route will be finalized?
Yes, hang on, let me pull it up. And that's one of the projects that was included in that package that I sent the other day. Timeline currently, should have the draft EA presented in the fall of this year. Public hearing will probably be January, February of 2018, and then what they call the FONSI for that project would be 45 days following that.
What was that final term, the funds?
FONSI, that's the document that's being presented for that is called an environmental assessment. An environmental assessment, what they issue is, they call it a FONSI. It's a finding of no significant impacts.
Okay, okay.
As opposed to a record of decision, which would be issued on I-49 project.
So following the FONSI, is that the final decision point? Or
Yes,
is there...
that's, you can go out and start buying right away and
Okay.
get engineering started and all that good stuff.
In April-ish of 2000, the current schedule shows April-ish of 2018 would be a final recommendation on the route.
Correct, somewhere in that time frame.
Thank you.
That it, Commissioner Atkins?
What was the price tag on that? Do you have it?
Price tag for the interloop, about 177 million.
That's all.
Got a lot of money. We'll talk less about that.
As opposed to about 500 million for I-49.
Is that it?
Yeah, I'd be good if somebody would drop about $1 billion in my lap tomorrow.
That it?
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Lyndon Johnson.
Ken, one question back on public safety. What about cabling system to prevent
The
collision?
cable barrier projects are underway for the interloop. I know they've been out there working. I haven't driven down it lately to see how much of it's been completed. They also just led a project for cable barriers on 49, basically south of Burt Coons going south. And I know there's a couple of cable barrier projects along I-20 that are in place.
I-49 north.
I'd have to go look and see where that, I know there is a project scheduled for those along the lines.
Okay.
That's kind of where they've been focusing a lot of the safety money lately, is getting the cable barrier projects all completed.
I had a couple of friends that died from head-on collisions
Yes.
like that, so it's kind of important to me.
That it? Okay. Kent, on the highway right here, Caddo Street.
Yes.
Any update from DOTD on what they may have? I saw they surfaced this part right here behind the, in front of the convention center, but I hadn't seen them do much past.
I think that was actually city that did the resurfacing out there. I think that was part of a city project.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. But that is a state highway, right?
Correct.
Okay.
It's state highway all the way to the Parkway, I believe it is where the state highway ends.
Okay, all right. I know they had said that they were looking at somebody underground.
Yeah, I think that's one of the segments that the city's looking at. They have what they call a right size program where they do some swaps.
But what about further up? I know, is it David North? Is it David North or who's the
David North
DOTD
is the
person?
district administrator.
Okay,
yes.
yeah, he was saying that there was some stuff under the surface further up, close to Pier Avenue.
Yeah, there's
down
some
that way.
drainage issues up there
Okay,
somewhere.
I see
I'm
them
not
doing
exactly
something
sure
on
what
Shoulder
all.
as well.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Anybody have any other questions for Kent? That's it. Well, appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll see you in another
See
3
you
or
when
4
we see
months.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
All right. All right.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, I have one more item.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm pleased to let you all know that the Government Finance Officers Association is pleased to announce that the Caddo Parish Commission has received the Government Accounting Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for our current budget. The award represents a significant achievement by the entity. It reflects the commitment of governing bodies and the staff meeting the highest principles of governmental budgeting. In order to receive the budget award, the entity has to satisfy nationally recognized guidelines for effective budget presentation. And these guidelines are designed to assess how well the entity budget serves as a policy document, financial plan, an operational guide, and a communication device for the general public. And certainly, we have received this award many times, but every time is special. And I'd like to commend Ms. Erica Bryant and her team doing an excellent job in putting together our budget.
Yay! Who's the best?
Good job.
And that concludes my report, sir.
All right, well, congratulations and keep up the great work. Next, Commissioner, now Bowman, I'll go back to Commissioner Bowman. Take your time.
You're wrong for that. Okay, NGO committee meeting, September 18th, 12 noon. That's it, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
There will be two meetings, one Friday at 3 p.m. and one Monday at 3 p.m. And this is the Commission Clerk and Parish Administrator Evaluation Committee. However, the committee is fairly small, but I really want all the commissioners to be there if possible, because what the meeting Friday is about talking about the magnitude of the awards that Erica Bryant in an accounting wins or earns in these awards for accounting processes. What we have Friday is the Association of Local Government Auditors, and so this is a group of volunteers as auditors, as CPA peers for local government, and they talk about the policies and procedures for which governmental entities are audited. They look at, there's a red book and a yellow book for auditing standards, and so they're going to teach us the difference between the two of those. They're going to teach about executive branch and legislative branch, which recently I've had some difficulty understanding, and so I would like this auditor to explain these processes. And so that is what is going to happen Friday at 3 p.m. Monday at 3 p.m., Mr. David Roberts with KPMG will be in town from Atlanta, Georgia, and do a presentation in reference to comparing best known practices. One of the things that I've talked about in the past is that Caddo Parish juvenile reform has been recognized as the golden child of processes for juvenile reform, and we are what a lot of other governmental entities, they compare what they're doing to Caddo Parish so that they can be more like Caddo Parish. And so what KPMG does is they look at all of the processes that the parish does to see exactly how we stack up and what we could do to improve our policies and procedures and what we do in general across the board, not just one process or not just one department like juvenile services, but every aspect that we do. That's it. And I hope y'all can all make it. That's everything.
Question for,
Okay. Commissioner Johnson, a question for Commissioner Lynn.
Monday, 3 o'clock, where is that meeting gonna be at?
It's in Dr. Wilson's 8th floor conference room. And the Monday and the Friday meeting at 3 o'clock is back here.
Are they both meetings
They're
upstairs?
both 3 o'clock. No, the one, excuse me, Mr. Hopkins, you told me the meeting Friday at 3 p.m.
Friday's
was
at
back
3,
here.
downstairs.
Because-
Monday's upstairs.
Yes, so the meeting Friday is going to be behind the chamber. The meeting Monday is going to be on the 8th floor, which Mr. Roberts will be meeting with Dr. Wilson at 2, and so everybody will be up there already.
That it?
That's it? Unless there's more.
I just want to ask a question.
Go ahead.
And again, for the record, this has nothing to do with the greatness that the budget office does already. This is just something supplemental.
Well, no, so we hear that Erica Bryant and the accounting wins these awards. However, these people are independent auditors. They can express the magnitude of how wonderful that is that we get those awards. And so it's a gold star.
Right.
And an affirmation that it's a gold star.
Right. But we do trust the other people who said they were great too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Commissioner Gage Watts.
Thank you. First of all, let me thank administration for always being there whenever I ask for something to be done. So I just want to start right there. We've been talking a lot about the early voting satellite locations, and you all have brought information together and even afforded the opportunity for Ernie Robertson and all of us to sit down to talk about it. And because we are at a point where our state is starving for revenue, we talked about some options because of the way that you would be selected to have these additional early satellite voting locations, which would both have political ramifications. It will give advantage to one side of town because of the way that you're selected, which is by voter population, active voters in that area. So one thing that we talked about and that I would like to present to you all and for you, Dr. Wilson, administration to look into now is mobile voting. And it will give us the advantage over a lot of other parishes since we've kind of been left out of the loop. With the early voting locations is to have an app, a mobile app. So I would like for you all to engage in finding some mobile applications that may be available and get some costs in that capacity so that we can continue to move forward in doing whatever we can to solidify voting and to engage new as well as older voters with that convenience. Next, I would like to thank you all who participated in the Expungement Summit, who came down, who handed out cards, who had kind words to say to the constituents. They were very appreciative, and people are still calling, asking, how can I get one of those packets? And they are still available, and that they came also with a letter from the clerk of court office, who always is there to answer any questions that anyone has. So
Absolutely.
I thank you all for everything that you did to make this another successful event. That's it.
All right.
Thank you.
Commissioner Miller.
Thank you. I have one other request. Our next work session, I have some certificates I would like to give out and invite some people down.
On the 21st?
Yes, sir.
Regularly 21st?
Yes, that Thursday. Thank you. That's
Commissioner
it.
Miller.
I withdraw.
Okay. Commissioner Dominic.
Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts, just wanted to, I've spoken to Mike Spence a couple of times just for information, and you might want to reach out to him, that it is being talked about, I'm not going to say next year, but being able to vote on your computer. I mean, it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So, appreciate you bringing it to the forefront, but you might want to talk to him. The next thing I want to talk about is the meeting tomorrow. It's the Commission Clerk and Parish Administration Evaluation Committee. There is no search committee. If y'all remember, we have 10 committees that we voted on. So I don't know how that committee got established.
Wait, say it again?
We voted, we have 10 standing committees. We do not have a committee known as the Commission Clerk and Parish Administrator Evaluation Committee. There's a meeting for the Commission Clerk and Parish Evaluation Committee tomorrow at 3 o'clock that I'm just kind of finding out about.
Hold on one moment. You want to clarify?
Yeah, it's in our bylaws.
On those 10, all right, with those 10 committees that we
Y'all
voted
go
on?
ahead and spit, I'll get the bylaws.
Well, I'm looking at the 10 committees that we got. I got it from our parish attorney. I don't see anything in there about, or am I missing it?
Let me go pull it right quick. Sorry.
And then the next question I had on this meeting, Dr. Wilson, you looked a little bit puzzled. What is all this about? I mean, there's 6 items. Report from the administration on scope and goals. Matthew, wait a minute. No, I get to talk.
Well, hold on. I know what you got on the floor, but before we even go down this path, the chairman of the committee, first I guess we got to find out if the committee is even legal. That's the first thing we got to establish. That's what it sounds like. But before we even go down that road, if it is, the chairman of the committee has set an agenda. And if you have an issue with something on the agenda, I hope that you would show up to discuss it on the agenda. But I just wanted to put that out there, is that we're not going to sit here and badger this issue here today.
I'm not trying to badger the
I
issue.
got you. I just wanted to put that up. Okay.
And I have before, I just want to know from Dr. Wilson, because we had a meeting on Tuesday and this was not brought up. I guess it was sent out yesterday, and I'm like, what is this committee about? And I just wanted some explanation. You know, you're bringing people in. Is this costing us any money? Is it going to cost us any money? What is all this about? Dr. Wilson, you know about all this.
I need to refer the response to Commissioner Matthew Lynn, sir. He's the one crafted the agenda. So I'm not sure if there's any expense involved in it or not. We have not spoke about that.
Well, it says report from administration on the scope and goals, so I'm assuming y'all gonna have some type of report available?
We have, but it's my understanding we are going to discuss.
He's talking about this, he acts like this is gonna help us, so I just, I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
think it's a matter of discussion as opposed to whether we have things lined up yet for this particular agenda.
Well, he said somebody was coming in from Atlanta,
Yeah.
PMG, that they were gonna help us. I'm assuming you know about this. How are they gonna help us?
Yeah, Commissioner Lynn and I spoke about it yesterday, I believe. The day before Commissioner Lynn. I know one day this week,
Yes.
and I spoke about it.
This week.
Can you tell me a little bit about?
Absolutely.
Is it gonna cost us any money?
No, sir.
Do we have to pay any money to have
No.
those people come in?
No?
Commissioner Lane, is this what you plan to discuss at the committee meeting tomorrow?
Yes?
It's 3 o'clock tomorrow. I'm just finding out about it. I can't make it, so I'm just telling you.
Well, I'm happy to sit down with you, and the meeting, Mr. Hopkins, the meeting will be recorded, won't it? So Commissioner Dominic can watch it?
If we have a quorum, yes, sir, it'll be
Okay.
recorded.
Mr. Hobson, is this committee even legal?
Yes, the committee is number 4, Commission Clerk and Parish Administrator Evaluation Committee.
Okay.
So this committee shall be referred to the annual evaluation of
Okay, I
Caddo
see.
Parish Administrator and Caddo Parish Commission Clerk.
I did see it, okay, I just oversaw it.
Okay. So, if you have an interest in it, attend. If you have some questions about what's on the agenda, contact the chairman of the committee. So that's how I would handle that particular issue. I think that's just the way we do it, is talk to the chairman of that committee. Commissioner Lynn on communication.
And again, I just ask that if any of y'all can make it, please make both meetings at 3, because it's gonna be what I view as just an educational meeting, that's all. And then, in reference to what was first on the agenda, Tuesday, Dr. Wilson told us that there was a person auditing animal services, Michelle Watson, I believe is what you said her name was. And I was hoping that you could tell us the scope and goals of that tomorrow. Okay, that's all.
All right. Okay. All right.
Next, we move to President's Report.
Let's get ready to go. Bill Wynn, we had public comment.
Okay, citizen comments?
Yeah. See, we've been here longer than we should have, y'all.
Hello, I'm Bill Weiner, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71106. Sorry I wasn't able to be here at the beginning. I wanted to talk about the fence around the courthouse. I understand all the sides, that it's a place of assembly, it's free speech, it also has to be secured. There are creative ways to accomplish this other than just a tacky fence. And if the resolution can say, develop a program of what we're trying to do, the homeless problem, restrooms, the security of the grounds, the ability for people to express themselves there. There are ways to do it that would be very attractive, add to the look of the courthouse, and not be what I call repulsive, which is the opposite of attractive. So if it can be expanded to say, look at the options, or write a program, what you're trying to do, look at the options, and then let's see how we can solve the problems. And this is something for the design professionals, not for law enforcement, to design a solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nothing else, sir?
Anybody gonna move to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
All right. Any second? Meeting adjourned.
Right, well then, after I'm here, when I get to that.
Thank you. I mean, I'm just, 'cause that's the time I could